Díomh gach daoine agus fáilte go dtí a coileadh brithimh is 𝗵𝗇 O'Flanagan. Hello everybody, you're very welcome to the Brehon Academy, and I'm Kevin Flanagan. And I have a real treat lined up for you tonight. Recently, well a few months ago, I had a chance to speak with Dave O'Reilly, and you might know him as Dave the Chariot O'Reilly, because Dave O'Reilly has restored and recreated a very unique part of Irish culture and heritage, which is the chariot, which he believes, and I have no reason to doubt him, is the chariot that was used by Cú Chullain. Now, he's modelled it off a stone carving. I can't remember the name of this person, but he was a bishop and a king. And you'll hear the way he talks about it when I play this interview. And you'll also see the way Cú Chullain may have rode his chariot. This is a really interesting insight into a not very well known part of our culture. Now, before I get into that, of course, I'm going to remind you to please go to the brehonacademy.org. That's www.brehonacademy.org. That's where you're going to find all of the information about my 3 online courses, which include Early Irish Culture and Society, Irish Mythology, and the Brehon Laws of Early Ireland. You'll also find a blog over there. You'll find an online store, and you'll also find a members library as well. If you want to support me on a monthly basis, please consider becoming a member. Click join below this video and follow us on Facebook, on X, on TikTok, on Instagram, and please hit subscribe to this YouTube channel and help me reach the next milestone of subscribers. Now, with all of that being said, without further ado, let's jump into the interview with Dave the Chariot O'Reilly. So I'm here with Dave O'Reilly. He is the Irish horseman, and he's after making this chariot over here. And I'm going to show some footage of him riding that chariot in a little while. But he's here, the man himself is here. And so Dave, could you maybe tell us the story of the chariot? How did you get the inspiration to build it? How did you actually build it, and things like that?
Yeah, I can. It is something which occurred to me a long time ago. I'd say back in the 90s, when I started to look into St. Patrick and a bit more of his story, and I realised St. Patrick had a charioteer, and that chariots, when I started to read the tone and different things, chariots had a massive part in our consciousness back in the age of saints and scholars, high crosses, and even into the late medieval era. So I had a bit of an education, enough that I could read the texts from the University of College in Cork and understand the something about the chariots, read the texts, absorb all the information. But I also had a bit of a connection to the horse culture through, driving the sulkies, and, so I had a bit of an education and I knew how to drive ponies. And there was to me it occurred that, imagine if the Scandinavians had never reproduced their Viking longships. To me, that was how we were. We'd never reproduced our chariots. And so, I thought, great, more for me, okay, if you're not interested, I am. I'll close that door, will I?
Yeah.
And if you're not interested, I am. And so I started by approaching a couple of local archaeologist, which back in the day was Billy Quinn in Galway, and he was encouraging, and I put a bit of a presentation together, and the guy says, go for it. So I ended up going down to the National Museum, presenting them my analysis of particularly the 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗀 chariot. And I remember having moments, this is before the construction started, the big eureka moment was when I realised the function of the high shaft and the 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗀, and that's what allows it to do that swivel like an articulated lorry. And I was sat on my couch at home, and it just dawned on me, this is what it is. And you can't learn that as an academic in front of a screen. You have to be able to untangle harness, have experience of how horse-drawn vehicles function, and just imagine it. You have to have done, you know, days and days of, you know, trotting behind a pony, having problems, having wheels come off, have different challenges to face, and then you realise the challenge of the design, of the ancient design, and how doable it was. So as soon as I recognised that eureka moment, that this is a bit of technology, that not only a design that no one's done, but technology that's no one's ever done. So I had to do it. But then you're faced with, okay, on the high crosses, the panels show in the carvings, they suggest shapes, they suggest things, but when you start to create it, you have to say what it is. You have to say that's 2 inches long, that's 3 inches wide, it's joined by this kind of a joint, it's bound with this kind of leather. And how do you find, you have to study all the ancient technology just to see what kind of techniques they would have used. Actually, the Viking longships were quite helpful in showing how that the rudders were actually attached just with leather. And leather was a far more valuable piece of technology than I ever understood. So that, a lot of that chariotry, instead of having bearings and, you know, couplings, you just got leather, and so we just tie it on, that's all. So that's how it went, and took by about 2007 I'd committed to build it, and by 2010 I had it done. The moment I had it done, RTE wanted it, so that's where we came to, Kevin.
Yeah. And so what happened with RTE?
Well, the great thing about the Chariot was the media immediately recognised the
Yes.
The value of it and wanted it straight away. But I hadn't. It's a lot of work. You've got to create the harness. You've got to do the bronze work. You've got to do the iron work. You've got to do the woodwork, and then you've got to train the horses. And you can't just buy a horse that's trained to a yoke, because no horse has used a yoke for 1,000 years. So you have to do it all yourself, and that takes time. Now the ponies weren't ready, so we just did a bit of movie magic, and they did a bit of walking, and they stood and that kind of thing with the chariot attached initially, and that worked. But I was dissatisfied with that. It took about another 2 years to get the ponies really comfortable with doing this. The first time I did it was up in Birch at 𝗃𝗺𝗺𝗃, and they actually performed, but they were awkward. They were pulling against each other, but they did perform the function, so that was great. Then when we started to go down to Wexford, to the Wexford Military Show, they really got comfortable with it, and it started to become a bit of a feature.
So I know you have these two ponies. Can you tell me a bit about them? Because I think they're at least 20 years old. So could you talk a little bit about them, and what was the moment where one of the ponies actually got it? How the function of the chariot worked?
Well, the ponies, first of all, they couldn't be too big, because if you see the illustrations of particularly ponies from the Roman era, they're never bigger than 13 hands.
Yeah.
So these are 14 hand ponies. So you got a bit of license coming into 900 AD, which is the 𝗁𝗵𝗶𝗀 era. But so these are kind of, she's more, this is Misty who's approaching it. No, that's Cailín who's approaching us here. She's probably more of a trotter with a bit of Connemara. And then you've got Misty, who is the heavier one. She's probably more of a harness pony that you'd see on a farm pulling a tub trap. And so they're mixed breeding. They're just, when I bought them because they had a bit of a step. They lifted up their feet. For a long time they were pulling in against each other. I'm not sure I had the bridlery right, but anyway, in the end they worked out how to pull together without leaning into each other. Then they started to trot around a bit, and we were up at Dartfield Horse Museum, and the late Willie Leahy was very helpful. He just he said, "You're a dreamer, I'm a dreamer, come and dream your dreams here. You know, I don't want anything off you. If you can leave the chariot here, I can put it on display." And so we did a no cash deal, and so I was able to use those facilities. And at that point, within the Sand Arena, the ponies grasp the freedom that arrangement gives them, the ability to do that articulated turn, because they had been in a two-shaft, sulkies, road cars, these kind of arrangements. But when they were yoked together, they struggled with the yoke, but once they got used to the yoke, it gave them a lot of freedom for movement. And the one of them just realized how free she was. She could turn every way, and she got it. She understood what a pony hadn't understood for 1,000 years in Ireland. She was excited by the freedom of it, and she got the other one. She says, "Come on, look at what we can do here." And she dragged the other one with her.
And was that Misty or Cailín?
That was Cailín.
That was Cailín.
That was Cailín. Yeah. She's a kind of horse that would be very alert, quite difficult to train, spooky, and quite nervous. And even now when we're throwing darts off the back, she does find it difficult because she's afraid that we're throwing the dart at her, yes. You know. So, but that's actually quite an intelligent thing, you know. Yeah, whereas the other one just doesn't care. Other. She's not one bit bothered, and that's the one there. She's absolutely bomb-proof. You could drop a 50-gallon drum next to her and she'd just look at it. And she's the one I put my feet on. Right. So when I'm driving around, a feature of the Celtic charioteers, going back to the Gaulish Roman charioteers on Roman coins, right through to Irish charioteers, always have that connection between the horse and the driver. And if on the clip that you might show the viewers, I've got my leg on the horse's rear, and that does two things. One, it stabilizes me, but it also acts as a shock absorber between the horses and the chariot. So there's always a bit of movement between the harness and the horse-drawn vehicle. So the horse-drawn vehicle, when you slow down, it will compress against the yoke or the collars or whatever. So you'll have a bit of slack, and that will swing around a bit and cause cause lurching and this kind of thing. But when you're moving around like that, when I've got my foot against the horse's arse, I'm actually stretching the chariot away from the ponies, right, and keeping it tense. So when they turn, there's no slack, there's no swinging from the chariot, and you can imagine that is quite heavy. It's a number of kilos, it's tens of kilos. When that swings suddenly, when you're going around a corner and you're slowing down, that provides quite a bit of ability to alter your balance. So that can be the difference between a horse stumbling going around a corner and a horse not stumbling going around a corner, because they know, they have confidence that that thing isn't going to swing around behind them. So that's the charioteer is in big close connection with the horses. The long ship of the Gael. you know, so it means a whole lot to people. So I'm going to carry on setting up, but when you look at this, you're going to look at it and you're going to say, well, actually that looks like a bit of a cart. It doesn't look like, you know, the movie will have all the chariots, the Roman chariots racing. Ben-Hur. Doesn't look like Ben-Hur. And some people are a little bit disappointed, and I understand that, because that doesn't look exotic. It looks too familiar to us. It looks like a modern day drawn vehicle. But that's actually a brilliant thing. And the reason it's a brilliant thing is this is the successful design. You know, this is the design which worked, which people adopted all over the world. It's the Celtic style of horse-drawn vehicle. Nobody uses the little bucket on trolley wheels, which was the Roman chariot, which was just a racing chariot that you stood on, designed to crash spectacularly. But this is a functioning vehicle in terms of transport, in terms of the ability to project power on the battlefield in different ways. So it's a fighting chariot, but it's also a bit of bling for noble people. So I carry on with my setting up here. I'll also do at the end about the Gaelic horseman, which is going into the age before the flight of the Earls. It's all to do with the impact of Norman horsemanship on Ireland and how the Normans adapted to Irish life here and how their horse technology adapted. So I'll carry on here, lads. I'm going to do a lot of talking because me flipping around the field here for half an hour isn't going to explain much. So these two ponies here, they've been at it a long time. They're quite old ponies. So they're going to go around here a few times, maybe 5-10 minutes, and then we're going to talk. Then I'm going to get up on one of them and show you how the Gaelic horseman works. So hopefully it'll be entertaining, and we'll all learn something about the importance of Irish horsemanship and the successes of it and what it represented to the people and their place in the world. So if you be patient, lads, we'll be ready to go. And if there's anybody who thinks they're a bit of a horseman, I could do with a bit of help. So anybody just want to volunteer, just to hold the ponies, will you?
Yeah.
Oh, jeepers. If you don't mind me saying, I'm an old man, but you're the most glamorous helper I've had so far. So you look great on the camera, so I'm all for it. So you look like she's a horsey girl, yeah?
She's horsey enough, yeah.
Great. So listen, stay where you are just for now. What's your name? Serica. All I want you to do is when I hook the two of them up, just hold them while we put the collars on them, and then just walk backwards with them and let them go like that. You know, I'll be in control. But thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Serica. It's gonna be fine. Of course, Cú Chullain was the great chariot warrior, and chariots to us, you know, when you think of Gaelic culture or Celtic culture, we haven't got many references. We haven't got big buildings. We got the high towers, all right, but we don't have the wealth of you know, physical culture that, say, London has. You know, most of our Gaelic past we see as a kind of ephemeral stone hump in the ground, you know, a circle in the ground covered in grass. We don't get to see and imagine the spaces and the people inside them, you know, so it's very ephemeral. But the great thing about the chariot, oh, she knows she's on, Great thing about the chariot is we get to see that. We get to see functioning Gaelic Irish society, the way they talked about themselves and the way they wanted to be seen by other people. So this is what we're about to do today. Let's see. Thanks, guys.
So that Serica gets to understand what we're about to do, as well as everybody else. This is a yoke, and the Irish chariots And all horse-drawn vehicles at that time used yokes. We don't use them anymore. Horses take a while to get used to them, but basically they stick their two heads through there, and we put a little bit of a straddle on them. I'm going to put the bridles on them first, and then I'm going to pull through all the reins. We're going to attach the two bridles to each other. Then I'm going to hook this onto the two ponies. We're going to thread the reins through the little rein guides, and then if you hold them at that point, and then what we're going to do, let me just think how we're going to do this. So we're going to have the chariot here. They'll have the two ponies facing that way. Cannon's on the left, she's on the right. So yeah, we'll pull the chariot over from there. So that's perfect. We'll leave that down on the ground. Now, there was a time when they looked like they wanted to work. I'll give you that one. Oh no, I'll give you that one. Now, she is the right-hand side pony, so that's her. So lads, we're going to do, you know, this is all a bit of a mystery, all this hooking up ponies and all the bridles and the straddles and the collars, yokes, straddles, everything. What we're going to do this weekend is I brought another little pony up, and on Sunday we're going to go over with everybody how to tack up a pony, just for a normal person. So, you know, if you've never hooked up a pony, will you hold her there? Yeah, she's a devil now, I'm sorry. She'll push you, she'll do everything. But the other one has manners, but she's seems to have decided that she's got her own ideas about this. So, which side is that now? That's her, yeah. Now that they're okay, not so bad. Come up, come up, come up, come up. Okay. So these two ponies, if you were to guess their age, you'd probably be wrong. This pony here is 25 years old, which is quite old. She's been doing this a long time. She is my absolute favourite. Even though she's not very friendly, she is very smart, and she was the first pony probably in 1,000 years to work out how the chariot works. And she kind of caught it, and she understood the freedom of it, because a modern harness has a lot more attachments, whereas with these, the ponies are only really attached to the cart in one place, and they can move around a lot. So these chariots have a very high shaft. When I'm going around, you'll see it enables them to do a maneuver which nearly all horse-drawn vehicles can't. So when I'm going around, see, can you spot it? See, can you understand the way it moves? Because this is a technical design which, was unique to Ireland. So let's see, yeah. Could you hold her? I'll take the long rein there. Thanks, Sarah, you got it. She's not too bad. You should find her easier. So this girl here is 22 years old. And so what I'm going to do is, if you stand where I'm standing and hold the two of them like this, then what I'm going to do is we might have to change that. Just give me that. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's right. So, we're going to have to kind of come inside you with this. So, you thread that through here. Yeah, good. Yeah, well done. Same on the other side. And if you can catch those reins, put her head through that collar. Yeah, that's it. So there we go. Helen, come on. Come on. What's it? Come here. Walk on. Walk on. Walk on. Come on. Right. She's pulling, yeah, that's it. She's pulling the head forward and the other one coming. So I'm going to ask you to hold the two of them just here. They shouldn't bite you, but just mind yourself. You know the story. So, that's them yoked up. Once this starts, it happens fairly quickly. Jeepers, telling you've lost a bit of weight since last year. So that's it. The ponies are called Misty and Carleen. I've had them since they were, her since she was a yearling, and Misty since she was a foal. So we've had them a long time, and they've improved a lot. She was thinking about biting me then, because that's what she does, but she decided not to, so that was good. So normally I have my son with me. He's great for charging around the place and throwing darts and all kinds of stuff off the back of the chariot, but I don't have him with me today, so we'll have to explain that in a different way. So, there we go. Now, okay, we're pretty good. I'm going to tie there too. Yeah, I'm trying to over this one. Yeah, it might be a bit too close, but we'll see. You're doing a good job, sir. You've done this before. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. So we're not too far away from a bit of a chariot action here. There we go. So I'm going to attach the chariot now. So just if you hold them like that, you'll have more control over them. Nearly there, lads. There's a good crowd of you here today. We're getting more and more every time. Normally I'd have my son on the back. We'd have a few darts and throw them around the place. He's very good at it. He's 27 now, he's in America, but he's unbelievable. So I'll have to explain to you, but a chariot is a two-man team. There's always a charioteer who's an old man like me, and then you've got a noble warrior who's a young hero. But you've only got the old man today, so that's how it's going to work for now. But I'll explain how it would work, and we'll get you into the imagery of the chariot. But what you have to think of is the noble warrior stands up on the back, and we'll talk about that later. But it's perfectly doable. My daughter did it as well. Just stand up on the back. It's very noble, it's very dramatic. Your head's 10 foot up in the air, and you get a lot of attention. So I'm going to hop up. Oh no, I'm not. I've no 𝗃𝗵𝗶𝗹 behaving themselves today. Normally they'd be itching to go, but I hope they do go now. I think they will. So that's it. Now what have we got? 1, 2. Okay. So now's the bit where you're going to walk backwards when I tell you, not just yet, and you then let him go. So, okay, walk backwards there. and let them go on the inside. Go on then. Up here. Good. Good. Good this. Go on, carry it. Go on, carry it. Come on. Go on. Good girl. Good girl. Go on. Up here. Come on. Come up, come up, come up, come up, come on. Try on, try on, try on, good girl. Try on, go on, yup, yup, yup. Go on. Go on. Go on. Oh. So that, you gotta, and then she was annoyed with the other one because she wasn't taking it seriously. That's why you got a bit of a hop off of that. But they did the job, and we'll go again. So you can see the maneuverability of this chariot, can't you? So go on, girls, go on, run on, up you, one Callie, one Callie. Go on, Callie, go on. Ooh. Right, good girls, go on, good girl, Misty. See, she's still complaining of Callie. She's telling us to run faster on the outside. And Misty's saying she's not going fast enough and she's holding her back. Come up, come up, come up. So what you got now is that maneuver from the high shaft. So the high shaft allows them to turn underneath the shaft like an articulated lorry. Sorcha, would you hold them there for a minute there? So so here's the position of the warrior. This is Cú Chullain's position, and he'll be hung off the back of this like that. This is where the sun stands. He doesn't like to stand and really likes to actually hang off the back, you know. And it says in the tame that Cú Chullain's chariot bristled with spears and javelins and darts. So, you know, what the action is you've got your darts, just hold them about 3 or 4 minutes and then we'll unhook them. So these are darts and all that kind of stuff. The position of the bristling would look like this. So this is how Cú Chullain has all his armoury here. And the way he starts off in the tame is he starts lifting these and launching them. And the thing is, you're 10 foot up in the air, you're going at up to 20 miles an hour, maybe faster. And when you let go of one of these, it really travels. And the Irish dart always had a little bit of a leather loop on it, and you stretch that in a springy way. People say that the secret of the dart is to wrap things around it. It's not. It's the stretch of the leather. You pull it, and as you release it, it gives you a little bit of a flick. So I've thrown that 70 yards. So that's probably over to that flag there, the Irish flag on the tin shed. So I'd probably get a little bit further. So it gives you a huge reach, these darts. It says that Cú Chullain kept his swords under the back of the chariot. So what's the advantage of being up here, of fighting from this position? The advantage is that anybody approaching you in this position, and it says Cú Chullain would have a board, and he turns his board to whoever he's attacking, you know? So it says, here's Cú Chullain, red cloaked, he loomed above the battlefield, uttering his battle hymn. He deals death over the left-hand wheel of his chariot. So the left-hand wheel of the chariot is where the board goes. So it's just a wicker panel. You fight over the top of the wicker panel. I'll come down again. And you're doing great, Sorcha, thanks. So when you're approaching a chariot, if you're on foot, first of all you've got to get past the ponies. who may run you down. Then you've got to get close to the chariot, which may hit you with the wheel. That pin is sharpened. It's an archaeological reproduction, and it's designed to wound anybody who comes too close. Talks about the noble charioteer's swerve, which is used to knock people down. If you're going to get here, then what you've got to do is you've got to get past that panel and past Cú Chullain's shield. So Cú Chullain could have a long arm like this, or he could have something, a poleaxe or a sword or anything like that. But while Cú Chullain's up here, behind his panel and with his shield, if he does get anywhere near you, your head is just right there, you know, and you're so woundable because you've got to get past the ponies, past all this, and then try and get over the panel and the shield to attack Cú Chullain. But all Cú Chullain has to do is go bop on your head, like. So it's actually like a movable fighting tower. And one of the reasons that the chariot was so important on the Gaelic battlefield is because at this height, I'm so much higher than the horseman, than the infantryman. Everybody can see me, you know. I am in a position to be a battle hero. People are going to see me moving around. He's here, he's there, where's he now? And what Cú Chullain does is use the chariot to break down his enemies. So what we'll do is we'll look at the Gaelic clans and how, you know, they managed to disrupt Norman rule in Ireland, and how the Normans adopted Gaelic culture rather than the other way around. So here, this is how a Norman knight would have been, how a Gaelic warrior would have looked, cavalry man. So, would have had an accaton, or whatever you call this, I've forgotten the name of it. I think you can call it an accaton. There's another name for it. This is a padded jacket. Then what you see is this kind of a helmet here. This is all unique. If you're doing Viking reenactment or Roman reenactment, you can buy this stuff. You can buy your helmets on the internet. But if you're doing Gaelic reenactment, you have to make it all yourself because it's all different. These kind of helmets, you don't see. I think it's called a 𝗵𝗵𝗀 helmet, but it's a very unique kind to Ireland. And it's got this little nose hook here. That's for catching downward blows to your head. So I stick that on. No, I won't. I'll see, can I find the rest of it. There's a bit of chainmail here somewhere. Lads, where did we put the chainmail? Anyway, there. Okay, very good. So here we go. Here's the chainmail. It's not much, but it's enough. So this, you'll see this combination a lot on the gravestones, especially grave slabs in Ireland. You'll see a bit of chainmail just around the shoulders. I'm not able to do it up at the back, so it's going to be a bit floppy looking. And then these kind of helmets. So that's what you're looking at. That's the imagery you see of in the 14th, 15th century, 16th century. This is a reproduction from something left around in a castle, 𝗘𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗀. So the way you'd use this is you'd either, Kylie, wait. I think she knows that I'm about to hop up and wait. I'm not going to go charging around because she won't let me. but you get the impression. So when you're up on the horse, you got your, when you're advancing, you got the shield in front of you. When you're retiring, you put the shield on the back. Mostly they're using these a much longer spear than this, maybe another 4 or 5 feet, and using it over the shoulder like this. But it's really, the difference is in the saddlery and the way you're using it, because the way you're moving through the landscape is more like a cowboy than a knight. So I'll show you how that's all used. But anyway, I'll just hop up if she'll let me on her. You might just hold that and hand it to me. Come on, Kelly. Come up. And because you got no saddle, come up. Come up. Come up. One, Kelly. One. Because you got no saddle, come up. You have to kind of hop up a bit like that. Come up. Because some people apparently people used to use their spears to climb up on the horse somehow. There's another way of holding the bridle, making the horse rear, and pulling yourself up onto the horse in that way. Go on, Kelly, go on, walk on, go on. Thanks. So, you're getting the imagery now. Go on, Kelly, go on. Good girl. So you're getting the imagery of the Norman Gaelic Irish horseman. Now I'm not going to go charging around the field because I'm not very good at it. My son's much better. Go on, Kelly. But you're starting to see what you'd expect to see. Oh, come up, good girl. So she has a little bit of control, but she's no pony. She's a chariot pony. She's not used to a lot of this. So I'm going to hop down off her. Wait. So.
Here's Cú Chullain, red cloaked, he loomed above the battlefield, uttering his battle hymn. He deals death over the left-hand wheel of his chariot. So, let them off there. Come on. Good girl. I see the reproduction of the chariot as a sacred duty. And so when I was invited to go up to Uisneach, this is very much a sacred task. And the organisers at Uisneach recognised the value of the chariots to our heritage. They had a committee member who was big into getting the chariots up to Uisneach, but he had passed away. So it was almost in honour of him that we were brought in, and it was just before the lockdowns and everything. So we brought the ponies up, and I was asked by the organisers, stay at the bottom of the hill, and when you get the signal, come up to the stones with the chariot and a couple of horsemen behind me. And what happened was the public became very much part of the entrance of the chariot procession. So there was a roped off area much like that, just alongside the avenue that we were going to take with the chariots up to the stones. So I put the ponies into a bit of a trot, and as we started to move, the people in the crowd started to cheer and roar, and their noise became not the single noise of a person, but a noise that lifted us with the ponies. They responded in such a way to the noise, lifting them as they went along. They went into a gallop, and as they went along, each part of the crowd, like a rolling wave, led on the road, the rolling noise all the way up, and the ponies responded so well. It was one of the most iconic shots that we got. There was a beautiful young woman stood on the back of the chariot in the warrior's position, and she was raising a wand or a spear up in the air, and she looked very glamorous, and the whole thing made a massive impression on me and the ponies, and I'd say the crowd as well. And we got up to the top. we went into this gallop and we got up to the top, and I slowed them down to do a little tour of or a little turn around the stone, and one of their belly bands broke, and so the whole momentum went out of the whole tour of the stone. But the thing is, we got up there, so it was a wonderful once in a 1,000-year event, and a re-welcoming of the chariot into these sacred sites, you know. And so for us, it's reminding us who we are. It's paying heed to our ancestors, the way they were, the way they presented themselves to us, not dismissing them, but believing who they said they were when they wrote the texts and made the carvings for us to see years later.
Your darts over here.
Yeah.
So they're sharpened sticks.
Yeah, they're not the best. They're the darts that got left over from all the ones that we used a lot.
Sharpened sticks, aka darts or spears. And do you have the one with the leather at the end?
That is it, and it's lost its
okay.
and it's lost its tip,
okay,
as the darts do, you know.
Yeah. So can you talk us through the actual mechanics of this? Like how did you build this?
Well, we'll start from the bottom. Start with the wheels. If you get a shot of that wheel from the side like that, you'll see that the stocks, which is the centerpiece, is very long. And if you come round and look along the wheel from this position here, you'll see that the wheel is straight up and down. It's not dished like a modern wheel. A modern wheel is dished. So this wheel has a very long stock, because it has to cope with the pressure on that wheel that could go either way. So a modern dished wheel, the secret of the dish is that the spokes are longer than the space in between the circle. So the circle of the fellows can actually push past the spokes because the spokes are longer than the space. And that's what a dished wheel, that's the strength of a dished wheel. And that's why you only need a short stock.
Okay.
Those are just a straight up, straight down wheel. And so they could collapse to the right or the left. And so you need a very long stock to take the sideways tension.
Yes, I see now.
That really dictates the whole shape of a Celtic chariot wheel.
Right.
So it is a very long axle. And even the Roman racing chariots, when you get a very rare backward or forward shot at a chariot, the axle is much longer than you'd ever imagine. So that's about 8 foot. And the axle has to be a hardwood, not just ash. It has to be something like oak, because there's no bearings in this. It's just rolling on grease, and the wheel rubs away the wood. So even though the oak is held up very well, the wheel's made of ash, but we initially had an axle that was made of ash, but we had to replace it with oak because it was wearing away. So then we've got these springs, which are clearly evident on the 𝗺𝗺𝗺𝗀 cross carving. So we had to include them, and they act like a bowspring. And so that's how we've created them here. In the Táin, when Cú Chullain slew 𝗺𝗵𝗺, it said he placed 𝗺𝗺's body on his chariot, and the blood ran down through the leatherwork and the basket work and the ribs of the chariot. So we know that this chariot is made of ribs, and there you can see these are like a 𝗃𝗺𝗺𝗀𝗀.
These are the ribs.
Now they're not excellently done there, but they're still ribs. You got the basket work to create the
weave.
Yeah, to create the structure, and then you got the leather work. I've just got a big cushion set on top of it. So another feature, if you look under there at this here, that's very disheveled from when it first went on, but that's rawhide.
Okay.
And even if you look on the other one,
Yeah.
that one's in a bit better condition. This rawhide is a very important piece of technology because if you soak it, it goes all stretchy and rubbery. If you plait it on like that and let it dry, it pulls that joint together like very strong.
Okay.
So the functionality of these bits of leather is essential, and you just plait it round any shape that you want to bite together. And you can see it goes around one square, around another block, and then over these springs. So, you know, and it all locks together, and I've never moved those two. They have been locked solid for 15 years now.
Wow.
And so that's one of the features of it. Another feature which a lot of people might not pay attention to is just these ropes. These are very important because the whole chariot swings around, and it's actually very fluid.
Yeah, could you just show me that mechanical, because I don't think people will realise that this actually...
It moves a lot. You know,
Yes.
this is very fluid.
And is that a feature of the Celtic chariot?
Yeah, it says the noble creaking of the chariot. Here, you know, and so that's why you have these ropes here too. And this one broke, so I just used a bit of, you know, your plastic rope, you know, polypropylene rope here.
Yeah.
But it's important to tie this a little bit, because there's too much slack in it and it can start to vibrate and shudder. So you have to tie this a little bit with ropes as well.
Okay.
And that's what I've got, this little this thing here.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
Separates the ropes and keeps them apart.
Okay, excellent.
So that you've got some control over the flexibility of the whole thing. Initially when I built it, I wanted it really stiff, but I realized that was impossible. And but in the text it talks about the ropes of the chariot.
Yeah.
So that's another feature of it. But the defining feature of this is the high shaft.
Yeah.
And it's not just on the 𝗺𝗍𝗺 High Cross, it's on the 𝗊𝗺𝗺𝗁 High Cross as well.
Could you tell me the story of the little dog
Oh yeah,
that was sitting on it?
On the 𝗺𝗍𝗺 High Cross, it's a beautiful story if you look into the panels. It tells the story of 𝗊𝗺𝗺𝗀, Bishop of Cashel, King of Munster, going up to Ballymugna, the Battle of Ballymugna. And on his way, he's driving in his chariot. Two horses are here, and there's a little, like a cairn terrier, up on top of the shaft. And you can see the shaft is actually quite wide. And even here, you know, a dog could put his 2 feet there. And this dog, maybe there was a little bit of sheepskin here put over for him to get a bit of a grip. And he seems to have Julius Caesar says that the charioteers used to run up and down their shafts and perform feats. Well, this little dog seems to have tried to copy the charioteers, and whatever name they give him, he would stand up at the top of the shaft, probably yapping at the ponies to go faster. He knew what they should be doing better than they did.
Yeah.
So there he is up on top of the shaft on the way to Ballymugna, and then after the Battle of Ballymugna there's another panel, and 𝗊𝗺𝗺𝗀 has lost the battle. He's been beheaded, his body is being carried on a little pony, his head in a basket, and there in the final personage in the procession is the little dog following the body of his dead master. And it's a poignant,
it's a tragic story, isn't it?
Tragic, but beautifully captured in the story of the dog on the 𝗺𝗺𝗺 High Cross.
And that's why they say dogs are man's best friend.
That's it. You know. Now, just before I suppose what we need to talk about is, this is an important thing for me to say to people about the chariots, is one, Celtic chariots don't look like Roman chariots. You know, that's the first thing. This has big wheels. It looks much more like a modern horse-drawn vehicle, because the Celtic chariot is the successful design. Secondly, if anybody disagrees with me, I'd love to hear of it, but I've never found any evidence of chariots racing in the Irish texts. They compete against each other with tricks and stunts. They follow each other through the country in pursuits, but they don't do racing. And maybe somebody else will find that I'm wrong, but I haven't found it anyway. The other thing is about this is what I credit myself with in my discovery of the chariot, is that this very high shaft is unique. And when I went to reproduce the 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗀 shaft, a lot of people would have said, you know, that's before I had that eureka moment of discovering what its purpose was in my head. I was so glad that I didn't listen to people who said, well, really a shaft should go much lower down between the ponies, and that would be the proper thing to do. A lot of academics would have said that to me, because this was so unique. It wasn't repeated anywhere. A lot of people felt it was in the imagination of the carver, and some people even said the chariots didn't exist in medieval Ireland. So, so I built this the way it was represented on the carving, and I believed the ancient carvers. I didn't dismiss them. I respected them to the point where I understood they are communicating something precious to me from the past about themselves, and I should listen. You know, I shouldn't dismiss them, think I know better or whatever. I just took on what they showed me and reproduced it, and it showed the articulated turn of the Irish chariot, which was such an advanced piece of technological chariotry, and is a credit to the Irish charioteers who built these vehicles. And that's probably what I'm most proud of, that the esteem and the credibility of the Irish chariot has been represented to some degree by what I've done here.
And perhaps a deeper lesson is that the academics don't know everything.
I could unload on academics, but I'm not an academic.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to.
All right. And you travel around the country doing these performances. So if I want to book you for an event, how can I get in contact with you?
Yeah, I'm probably a little bit remiss here. Dave the Chariot O'Reilly on Facebook, or David Irish Chariot O'Reilly on Facebook. Twitter, Dave the Chariot O'Reilly. I would say send me an email is the best one.
Yeah.
Send me an email to irishchariot@gmail.com. irishchariot@gmail.com.
Excellent.
And that's the way you'd get me. And I'll consider anything. It's not just the chariot. We can do tub traps. Can do all kinds of ancient and modern heritage. And I'll talk to me. I'll work something out with you.
Excellent. Dave, thanks so much for sharing this information and for restoring part of our culture. It's really impressive, and I think I'm going to go record it.
And that was David O'Reilly talking all about his passion for the Irish chariot and his beloved ponies. And I will include David O'Reilly's contact details in the description of this video. And if you're still watching at this time, then please visit the brehonacademy.org. That's brehonacademy.org, where you're going to find information about all of my online courses. I have 3 of them. I have Early Irish Culture and Society, Irish Mythology, and the Brehon Laws of Early Ireland. We also have an online store over there. We have a blog. We have a members library. And if you want to support me on a monthly basis, please consider becoming a member. Click join below this video today, and you can become a member for as little as $1.99 per month. But if you want to get access to competitions, then $4.99 a month is the minimum amount that you will pay. I want to thank you for watching all of this video. And before I go, please follow us on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, on TikTok. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. Please consider subscribing to the channel as well, because it really, really helps me out. Now, with all of that being said, and until next time, 𝗃𝗺𝗺𝗀, slán go fóill.